I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be how to become the center of her life. I've got an email here from a viewer. He's got some questions about a woman he's been dating for about 7 months. He says, "Hey Corey, I got a question and I hope you can answer or give me some guidance on. I've been with my girlfriend for about 7 months. She's a great girl. Everybody always says that. She's a great girl. She comes from a great family and really has her life together. She's got an extremely close group of friends which she likes to spend a ton of time with. They have get-togethers constantly, and when they are not all together, they are texting constantly. Me and her just took a week-long vacation, and her friends were blowing up her phone the whole time, which is just annoying. Don't get me wrong, though. Her friends are all really nice people, and I like them and love the fact that she has a group of people that really care about her. She's in her late 20s, if that matters." He says, "She's a woman I can see myself getting really serious with, but I'm very hesitant to do so until I see myself becoming more of a priority to her." Well, I can tell already that you're more focused on what's happening, where the future of the relationship is going. And when guys talk like that and think like that, they're usually pursuing too much. And as I say all the time, women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And so if you're constantly chasing and pursuing a girl and doing most of the work, or say the contact ratio is like 50-50 or 40-60, where you're doing 40% of it or 60% of the pursuing, it's still too much. Because the idea is that you want to get her coming to you more, pursuing you more, because then the idea of a relationship and becoming closer and closer to you is actually her idea. But if you over-pursue, she never really gets the space and the time away from you, because she's always talking to her girlfriends. "Hey, what's your boyfriend?" "Oh, God, I don't know. I haven't heard from him in a few days. I should give him a call." But if you're always calling her and texting her constantly, then there's no space. There's no time to where, it's like I use the cake analogy. It's like putting a cake in the oven and you keep opening the door every 5 minutes. "Is it done yet?" And that's kind of what you're doing. You're worrying too much about that. So he says, "I worry about that fact that if we went down the path to where I got married to her, her friends would still come first. Now, she's never canceled anything with me to be with them, but a lot of times when I ask her what she's doing, she's already made plans with her friends. That tells me you're calling her, and if you've been dating a woman for this long a period of time, she should be calling and texting you 2 to 3 times a day. And when you get those texts, you just simply use those as an opportunity to plan your next date." He says, I generally see her about 2 days a week right now. Yeah, that definitely tells me where you guys are at. You're doing too much of the pursuing. He says, "I'm not the type of," because if you guys were head over heels in love with one another, you'd be seeing each other every day. Now, relationships that I've had, what happens is like when you start only seeing them, where you go from seeing each other every day to you're pretty much like seeing each other on the weekends, those kinds of things. I've noticed myself doing that to the point where I just really want to see the girl, even though I was initially head over heels in love. It's after a while you kind of get bored with her, and in other words, she's not able to maintain your interest in her, because it's like the more you get to know her and the more time you spend around her, in the long run, it's kind of like a curve. It goes up like this, and then it kind of comes down, the amount of time that you want to spend with her. And then what happens is she feels you slipping away, you're not putting as much effort into it. She wants to know why, and she reaches out more. And just sometimes it happens in a relationship, and that's why I always say, if you're gonna talk about marriage, you should be dating somebody for 2 or 3 years, and you're only been dating this girl for 7 months, and things aren't where they really need to be to even have that discussion. So, if you date somebody for 3 years and the infatuation wears off and you still are seeing each other day and night, you're always around each other, then yeah, that's a great situation to get married. But if you're only seeing each other 1 or 2 days a week, then you don't want to be getting married. And that's why I always say it's best, because like that first year when you get together with somebody that you really dig, you're going to be infatuated at least half the time, and then the infatuation slowly wears off. And if you don't have desire, like I've written about in my book, I mean, it just happens sometimes. You get to know a girl really well, and and you're just not feeling it. You don't feel like you want to spend as much time with her as you used to. He says, I'm not the type of guy that wants to see my girl every day, but I would like to see her a bit more. Well, you're obviously more into this relationship than she is, and women like it more. Women will find you more attractive if they think that you, or that if they think that they like you more than you like them. And obviously in this case, she obviously can tell that you're more into her than she is into you. He says, in person, there's nothing wrong at all. She's extremely affectionate, and we have a blast together. This is not something I've talked to her about, so she does not know that I feel this way. And exactly, you should not mention this, because if you do, you're going to come off as being needy, insecure, weak, unsure of yourself. He says, the last thing I want to do is say anything that might make her think I'm saying it's me or your friends or anything along those lines. Well, obviously, this is what you're thinking, because you said yourself that it pisses you off that she spends so much time with him and she's not spending as much time with you. And instead of pointing the finger at her and say it's all her problem, you really got to look at the guy that you see every morning when you look in the mirror and take some blame for it. Just say, well, obviously I've been pursuing this girl a little too much. He says, I just want her to get her priorities straight. It's not about priorities, dude. It's all about emotions. It's all about what you are able to do successfully or you're not able to do that causes her emotions to move in the right direction. And it's obvious to me, just from reading this far in your email, that you're doing too much of the pursuing. He says, I want her to get her priorities straight if she actually wants a serious relationship, that is. And again, this is not a mental thing for women. For us guys, you're thinking logically, which is how, using logic and reason to justify this. But you got to understand, women are emotional beings, and they're driven by their emotions, and you're just simply not leaving the cake in the oven long enough to bake. He says, maybe I'm just way more serious about her than she is about me. See, it's like your spidey sense is already telling you this. And what was I just saying a minute ago? He says, she'll generally text, call me every day. The possibly dumb idea that crossed my mind would be to go back into more of a dating mindset with her. Hang out, have fun, hook up. Hang out, have fun, hook up. That's all you need to focus on. When she texts you, just, hey, baby, great to hear from you. What are you up to? And talk 2 or 3 texts back and forth. And say, hey, when are you free to get together again? And like, if she wants to, because what you're doing is you're obviously doing too much talking on the phone and not enough time in person. And so, in a way, like when you talk to a girl too much on the phone, it's like the same thing as opening the door on the oven. And what it does is it causes the sexual anticipation to dissipate a little bit, and therefore she's not as enthusiastic and as excited to see you in person because you're talking too much on the phone instead of doing it in person. He says, I forgot who said it, but maybe try give her the gift of missing you. So you see, it's like you already kind of know what you should do. He says, so if she wants to spend a ton of time with friends, I'll back off and let her have even more time than she has now. Exactly. I wouldn't. If she's calling you 2 to 3 times a day, you don't need to call her or text her, and pretty much all of your calls and texts should be in response to returning her calls or texts. And so how I would modify your behavior is maybe take a little bit longer than you normally do to return her texts or return her phone calls. And when you do return them, hey baby, how are you? How's your day going? Let her talk for a couple of minutes, and then when she starts to ask you what you've been doing, what you've been up to, just say, hey, well, why don't we get together? When are you free this week? And let her tell you, and then say, great, make a definite date, tell her you'll pick her up at whatever time, or if she's going to come over to your place, or you're going to meet her somewhere, whatever it happens to be. And then say, hey, I got to run, I'm headed to the gym, or I'm going to go meet a buddy for a drink, or whatever it happens to be, or I got some extra work to do, or I got to clean, I got stuff to do, I got to go grocery shopping, I got to make vegetable juice, if you juice vegetables, if you're taking care of your body. A guy who's successful with women has a well-rounded life. Meaning not only is his things going great in his relationship, but his career is going well, his health and his body is going well because he's eating the proper alkaline foods to help him be healthy. Because if you're at your best, you feel your best. Your financial picture of your life is in good order. You spend plenty of time with your friends. And it just sounds to me like you're just way too focused on what she's doing and what she's thinking, and not so much just being awesome at being you. And so the best way to handle it is, like I said, wait till she calls you, make a date, and then talk to her for a couple of minutes. And the idea is, just like in show business, you want to leave the girl wanting more. And the way that you do that is you make your time, talk to her a little bit less on the phone. And remember, I see this all the time, the phone should be used for setting dates. And part of the problem is you're too focused on where the relationship is going. You're talking too much on the phone. You're doing too much pursuing and not enough in person. So like I said, the phone should be used for setting dates. And when she wants to talk, she says, oh, I got to tell you. It's like, oh, that's great. I want to hear all about it. But let's do it tomorrow night over dinner, and I can give you my undivided attention because I got to run. I'm heading out. I'm meeting so-and-so, whatever happens to be. And I'll talk to you later. Because she's always busy hanging out with her friends, right? And so that way, if she can't talk to you as much on the phone, she's got more to talk to you about when you see her in person. I mean, think about it. It's actually really common sense. But if you spend a lot of time talking to her on the phone every day, then that's a big part of your problem, why you're just really not hanging out with her as much as you want to be. So if you have a question you want to ask me, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab on the left-hand side of your screen, send me 1 to 2 paragraphs maximum, and just give me several weeks to get back to you with a response. If you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session, and you can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab, which will be at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, on my website, underneath the email sign-up box, is a box that has a link that will take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page for my book. And once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for whatever electronic device you want to read my book on. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, or my ebook, you can show your appreciation right now by going to my website. And on the Wibbia toolbar at the bottom of your screen, click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. And I will talk to you soon.